and that if they don't get what they want, they may even assassinate us. However, he referred us to the Minister of Intelligence. Then his name was, or is, executions, betrayal, and not only that, but also through various moments where our names were tarnished, through a smear campaign that was lodged against us. In 2016, I was approached by a group of police officers, I call them corrupt police officers, whose names I already mentioned, and I'm going to mention them again. The likes of Rebi, she's a captain in the Hawks, Maritz, and a whole group of company, and a certain gentleman known as Captain Ngobeni, who eventually we realized that him alone was not a part and parcel of the Hawks, but he was their proxy who was being sent to solicit money from us. These did not hide their intentions through this Captain Ngobeni, but to speak that we had to pay 12 million rands if we had to stay in South Africa. And this was apparently known as protection fees. This issue became a very serious issue. I might, it can be very important for me to actually remind some of you who remember at some point in time when I stood on pulpit and spoke about this, to say I was met by these police officers. They are saying they need money, and that today if I don't give them money, they'll come here to church and cause an arrest. And I said, I'm ready. And I even said, I'm not scared. We remember that moment when we were harassed at church with a police helicopter that came and flew at a very below altitude level just to scare me. At the very same time, we had a police van at a church parked, and I think some of you remember. And all they were saying was so simple, to say, will you release the money or you are ready to be arrested? It was that single day when I took an initiative to go and meet the then Commissioner of Police, General Shadrack. It was on a Sunday, and I had a meeting with him and at Southern Sun Hotel in Pretoria, where I raised the issue. In his speech, he advised us to beef up our security, citing that he is aware that in South Africa there is a serious cartel, and that if they don't get what they want, they may even assassinate us. However, he referred us to the Minister of Intelligence. Then his name was, or is, Minister Bongo, who I did not hesitate, because it was becoming more personal, to say, if you don't give us the money, we are going to do this. We resorted of meeting the minister, and we lodged a complaint to him. However, he called the Director of Intelligence, and if I may not be forgetting his name was called Fraser. We had a meeting, the three of us, and I explained the whole story. And Fraser spoke to me in front of the minister to say, so far, we do not have any case against you in the system. Meaning to say, this is all set up. And to my surprise, despite bringing all these serious allegations against these police officers, nothing was done, nothing was made. This scared me, because it became more even personal when I think some of you remember a person coming in church with a pistol and several times when people would actually confess to say they were sent to shoot us. This it was due to, after hearing that I had lodged a complaint against these four to the authorities, they said, you cannot make us lose our jobs. We'll eliminate you. Upon having that, I also saw it was necessary I report to my government in Malawi. I flew in Malawi. I met the then president, who is actually now, again, has been elected again to be the president. Congratulations to him. And I had a meeting with him, and I explained the whole issue. I remember he actually said that he was extremely touched and asked me to also, apart from the government efforts that would do, he also requested that I should involve the local Human Rights Commission. I did. The Human Rights Commission of Malawi that time went to the embassy, South African embassy, and lodged a complaint. And this is on records, to say our citizen is being harassed with his wife. And the embassy advised them to write the South African Human Rights Commission, which these two organizations began to interact over our rights. Nothing happened. And this made us also to take further steps, because the threats of our lives and the demand of money began to grow. It was in this moment when we were also visited by one of the police officers, known as Mr. Paul. He was, I think, a Captain Paul, who said that the General of the Hawks, a department which these four police officers were coming from, would stop our case if we would give him something. I remember some of my team members going to have a meeting with this fellow general, known as General Sibiya. So much money was collected in the name of this general to stop this case. Instead of the general to stop the case, so it was corruption after another corruption. Problem, you go to the authorities, they also are demanding for something, to end something. I remember my team having a meeting with the then General of Hawks at his farm several times. Having meetings with him at his residence in Silverton several times. An attempt for our justice failed. It was then I decided to even take more steps further. I went to have a meeting with the Inspector General. There's an office in South Africa known as the Inspector General. The good part, we have affidavits from each office I'm mentioning to you that we visited, that we went to. We took the affidavits because we knew tomorrow was coming. The director in this office, when we went there, they welcomed us, and it's the office that helped us. They simply referred us to a department known as IPD, Independent Police Department, that investigates corrupt cops. We went into this office of the IPD, where we opened a case against these police officers who were harassing us. So an official police case was opened with a case number. However, the IP department assured us that they were planning, they had applied for a warrant from what is known as the National Prosecution Authority, NPA, where they would get some funds, some money, and give the money to us so that we should tell these police officers that the money was ready and that when they are coming to collect the money, the IPD should arrest them. A mission was planned that the following day, this must be done. But unfortunately, the day where this mission was supposed to be done, we think someone from the NPA had tipped them to say, tomorrow there's an arrest being planned for you. Unfortunately, the day we were supposed to arrest them, they came early in the morning, the same 4 police officers, to arrest us instead, citing so many things, including the private jet, which we actually bought. I actually bought that private jet, and it was not even bought in my personal name, but it was in the company, which was owned by myself and the shareholder, a South African. But shockingly, it wasn't my wife who was a fellow shareholder, but she's the one who was arrested together with myself. A case which stayed so many years. We went to court several times by the same people who were looking for the money. We went to court several times, and each time we went to the court, when the case is about to start, they would stand up and they say they are still looking for evidence. We are law-abiding citizens. We completely gave ourselves to the justice system of South Africa to say maybe there'll be justice. But the more we were waiting, the more our lives were seriously threatened. We're all aware what happened in our ministry, in our church. Our members across the world, more especially in South Africa, they are aware that we had some 2 gentlemen who had come at our church with their Forex trading platform, which they had helped some people at first who had invested the money on their platform, and some people made the money and they were paid the money, and that made so many people also to have an interest in investing over their platform. A thing which I myself, as a leader, do encourage that people should actually be in business and they should make money. But when these people began to make money, they became selfish and decided to run away with the people's money. My wife and I decided to stand for our people, the victims in our church. Personally, we spent our own money, almost worth 70 million rands, paying off all the victims in our church. We're actually hunting for them, and we're paying them through lawyers. And our intention was so simple. We opened a case against these two guys through the same lawyers, and they say, arrest them. We will pay the money to the victims. And when you find out these 2 people, we will reclaim back our money from them. A mission which was moving very successful. And there were only a few members in the church their money was not yet refunded. And what happens? Those same police officers who arrested us on the first case came and arrested us over the issue of these 2 gentlemen. Among these 2 gentlemen, they arrested one. We were obliged because we are people who respect the rule of law. But what was so much worrying was the fact that we had a warning, and we were actually told that the main reason why this arrest was happening was for them to have access and get rid of us. My wife was physically told in the prison, when we were being kept in the prison, by one of the nurses to say that there was an arrangement that an injection should be given to her so that she can slowly have a sickness and die. I remember in the cell where I was being put at night, a very big scorpion known as the red scorpion, and this scorpion apparently is found in Amazon forest, was thrown in my room. And by the grace of God, I didn't even realize that there was a scorpion. And I slept When I woke up, I found this scorpion under me, and it had died. Apparently, maybe I could have slept over it. So I just thought it's a scorpion, and I pushed it away. But what shocked me was a man who came and knocked at my window, and he said that he was having his mother at our church. And he asked me to say, "Are you okay?" Because last night we were told to come and throw a scorpion in your room. Did you see a scorpion in your room? That made me not surprised, because we were so familiar of different attempts to assassinate us. One of the most shocking things was their burial conditions at this time around they were asking for. Their burial conditions were that these 4 men should actually know all our movements and where we are staying, and that we must be confined in a very small area. And for us, that was a threat, because we knew who these men were. We had exhausted all our efforts, and we had reported them to all relevant authorities, and that was a very serious threat. While we thought we should stay in South Africa and prove ourselves right, shockingly, we had a tip, and I was in the car. We had a tip to say, "We have been sent to kill you." One person actually called one of my pastors, who is in this room as well, and the pastor called me and he said, "Please, Prophet, where you are right now, change the car." That was a call that saved my life. Immediately, I moved from the car. That was the day, I think all of you are aware, when we survived a very serious assassination attempt in Santon on the 26th of February at a filling station. Luckily, the filling station had the footage. We opened the case, and the case was dismissed even before an investigation started. This is not justice, and that's not how justice must be. We were the first complainants, and nothing was done. This is what prompted us to come back home here in Malawi to seek for justice. When we came to Malawi, it was not running away from justice, it was seeking justice. When we came here, we handed over ourselves to the authorities, to the police, to say we had a case in South Africa, and we have handed over ourselves to you so that we can go to court and continue with the matter. To show the hatred and serious ill will that we have been saying and we've been first seeing in South Africa, there was a document that came from South Africa forbidding our child, who was supposed to go to get medical assistance in Kenya. Our child stayed at the airport for quite some days just because they just don't want the child to go to hospital. Remember, this is not a child that was staying with us when we were in South Africa. This child was already staying in Malawi. And this child had already traveled before when we were already in Malawi to Kenya. And this time around, it was so shocking. Well, God's will is God's will. We lost our child. May her soul rest in peace. When we stayed here, we never missed a single court hearing because we were trying to prove we were not running away from justice. Today, I'm here to tell you that a few months ago, we had a ruling in the lower courts, which is the magistrate court. This ruling was amazing and interesting. The ruling stated that 11 cases were dismissed in the magistrate court. If I'm correct, if I'm right, But they reserved few cases, which they said, these few cases, we keep them for you to be surrendered to South Africa. We disagreed with the decision and sought to take the matter to the High Court, which today they made the ruling. And these are the summary facts from the ruling today. So this is the general summary of the finding from the issues raised during review. So there's one, no reasoning was made by the magistrate. Number two, there was improper authentication of extradition documents. That's number two, improper authentication of extradition documents. As well, another reason, over-reliance on hearsay evidence by the witness from Republic of South Africa. Basically, the evidence which was presented in the courts, even in South Africa, when we were there, was a hearsay, not factual. When let me just read how as it is. On this one, I'm going to read a small paragraph which says, over-reliance on hearsay evidence by the... Anyway, so these are some of the reasons which the ruling has come. In the conclusion, they have agreed with us on the review application which we applied in the court. And with these words, allow me to thank each one of you, our partners, our friends, our followers, wherever you are. As I did mention, no longer how long a river may be, it has its end. It doesn't matter how long the river may be, it has its end. As I also have been saying, that no matter how they may paint you, but the real you will always be stronger. Amen. With these words, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to thank you once again for your prayers. We are aware of all the prayers, the fastings, and some of you even going even further and even handling our legal bills. And I should tell you this, that there's no single day we paid our legal bills. We had people who God anointed, and they said, we will help you, and we'll be the ones taking care of your legal bills.